Right, folks, I wonder, like myself, how many of you got the wee message to download basically all, on authority, your medical info, your appointments, your test results, all the rest of it, to this new app called My Care. I must admit, I tried and I failed, and then I doubted myself, and then I thought, is this a really clever hoax? It's not. Helping us to make a better sense of it than I was able to make of it. Delighted to be joined by the Chief Clinical Information Officer for the Western Trust and the Chair of the Regional My Care Patient Portal Governance Group. That's Dr. Neil Black. Dr. Black, good to have you, and thank you for joining us. Is it just, surely it's not just me looked at it and thought, is this for real? What's the, I mean, I see 38,000 have already signed up, Neil, so that's encouraging from the get-go, to use the cliche.
Yeah, well, 38,000 in the north, in the Western Trust
that's
area, but over 310,000 people across Northern Ireland.
Right,
so it's just over 16% of the population, and somewhere over 20% of people who have attended appointments in the last year have taken up the app.
People of my vintage and a bit older doubt these things. I think genetically, would you agree, Neil? You go, right, as I was saying to you off air, it's like when I first tried online banking, I was going, right, I'm about to push go here. Is that, and there's a nagging doubt in the back of your head. You're here to say it is absolutely for real and it does work.
Oh yes, it's absolutely for real. I think it's quite natural to be careful about your information, and we should, in the modern world, we have to be ever more careful about it. Our own identities, our financial information, all need to be kept very secure. Health and care information, it needs to be kept extremely secure. It's very, very sensitive, and the last thing we need is for that information to get elsewhere. So this app gives you personal access to your own record, your appointments, your letters, and as you said, results, and those things can be shared electronically. It's also secure in the sense that it's protected on your own device, and your identity needs to be verified through NI Direct as well.
When you get to the bottom of that, that's the bit I got wrong, and then I didn't have a number and all the rest. It's probably not as complicated as I make out. I'm a technophobe, Neil. And you're putting your code in as we speak. Is it, if you take, is it a 10-minute job, or take us through it, sort of the idiot's guide to it?
Yeah, the majority of people, 5-10 minutes can easily do it. I mean, the key thing is download the Epic MyChart app to your phone. That can be on an Android phone or.
And what is that? What is an Epic?
Epic is the company that provide the Encompass system, which is the healthcare records for all of secondary care, so all hospital specialty services, all across Northern Ireland. We're one of the very few instances across the world where our entire hospital system is all on one system, and that's the Encompass record.
You see, the cynic in me thinks that there's boys over in Russia get up out of bed in the morning to wreck amazing systems like that. How reassured are you of its sort of veracity?
Epic have never been hacked in the sense of the way some financial or other electronic systems have been broken down. It seems to be particularly secure. Your information is held on servers in Belfast that are very heavily protected.
Okay, so I imagine when it's working as well as you've just described, our sort of diagnostic journey, our medical interventions, I'm assuming that's all sort of lubricated and sped up potentially, and it's saving a lot of time from admin and all the rest. I mean, loads of advantages, surely.
Yeah, there's loads of safety aspects to this in terms of safety of clinical care. Your record follows you. It can be accessed if you present to a hospital in Belfast and then a hospital in London Derry, for instance. It's the same record. So whenever someone is in our hospital in Altnagelvin and has to move to Belfast for care, everything follows continuously. It's better than a paper chart that would have to be then physically transported. And that then is a continuous record with medications, allergies, all the notes, all the letters, all the appointments all pass through.
Gotcha. Is it a dialogue? So when you see, you're going, all right, management test, but I haven't, I've been on the waiting list for however long. Can you message it and go, any word of my appointment, any word of my operation? Can you dialogue it?
Yeah, we're getting there with that. Actually, there is two-way communication where someone can send a message in. It's not quite live just yet, but we've trialled it in a number of different areas, and we're hoping that different services will take that up. It'd be very sometimes when you think of a problem or a question, you're mulling over things in the evening or at a weekend. It'd be great to be able to send that message in, and then for that to be picked up when, say, the office opens up on Monday morning. That can be passed through a clinician and information sent back. I've opened up those channels directly with individuals who I'm looking after to help with their care after discharge.
I get it. And it democratises it too, Neil, in a sense that you now can see everything about yourself. I think there's this old-fashioned thing that when somebody has a white coat, that they're elevated and that they know everything, and probably, you do in terms of our medical stuff and all the rest, but that's your gig, that's your profession, and the doctors have all this looked after. But now I can understand my diagnostic journey more closely.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head at the beginning as you were introducing this. We know that about 7% of people don't attend their appointments. Mm-hmm. But for the people who have downloaded MyCare, we know that that's halved down to 3.5%. Right. And with all our waiting list issues, it's clear that the people with MyCare are coming more often to clinic. And we've all seen the news reports of delayed posting. You referred to your own appointment.
Well, I don't mind sharing that with listeners. Recently, I've been waiting, and it's all starting to kick in now. And had the girl not phoned me the week before, the letter to invite me to the Royal for a thing came 2 days after the appointment. And it's like, oh, Lord. The
key thing about the MyCare app is that whenever the appointment is made, it electronically transfers onto your app and you're notified of your upcoming appointment. And we always have doubt, even if we had a letter or a call, just when was that, what was the time? And there it is in black and white in front of you. You can always go back and check it. So it's an earlier notification and a reliable one.
And so the tests, the diagnostic department up at Alton Galvin does all the bloods. Will your bloods go on this, yeah?
Yes, if they've been requested by a hospital specialist, then the results will go on. One thing to point out is that general practitioner or primary care systems are separate, and if your test was done through your GP, it won't come onto the app. But if done from a hospital clinic, it will be it'll come into the app. Now, normal results come in immediately. They're available, and abnormal results come in at 15 days after they're available to allow the clinician time to get in touch with you and to communicate those properly.
And is any aspect of it, you're saying it's clinician-led, is any aspect of it AI-generated? Because we always hear people saying, it's a fearful thing, but then other folks are saying, AI has revolutionised this, that and the next thing. Is there any aspect of it that's AI-generated?
Not at the moment.
No.
Not at the moment. They are looking in other jurisdictions, like in the US, about applying AI that would assist a clinician by bringing together lots of pieces of information, but that hasn't come into play in Northern Ireland.
What might it change on the ground, Neil, in terms of your people? Because I'm assuming then you need people to do less if this is doing all the bookings and all the tests and all the communicating.
It's certainly changing roles. I mean, the hope would be that it will reduce for the proportion of the population who have the app. We won't need to post out letters about say, someone's attendance at hospital, an outpatient appointment or a discharge. And that will reduce the amount of printing. Obviously, less paper is a good thing. But who was printing the paper? Roles are changing in the hospital. A ward clerk's role has changed quite a bit, for instance, on a ward. Medical secretaries, their roles have changed, and they're trying to make sure that the right letter gets routed to the right place, and if it's in the app, well, they know that the real comfort. It's a huge comfort to me as a clinician to know that whenever I send a letter, that could be in a person's inbox in their app within seconds. What
about security issues? And we've spoken to the women's sector about this in terms of maybe not just a woman, but more than often a woman living in a domestically difficult place, and there are medical interventions going on there, and maybe they don't want a partner, for example, or another to know anything about that. People sometimes will pry on somebody else's phone. You know what I mean, Neil? I mean, is that life, or what about protections there?
That's the sad fact of life at the moment. No matter how secure your logins or your biometric logins to open up a device are, or you put your passwords or PIN numbers and things, that others can force that out of you. So obviously, if you want to be very careful about who has access to these things. There are people who will manipulate their way into your life in one way or another if they're that close to you.
Of course. Have you downloaded it?
Absolutely.
I messed up. I tried twice. And then I thought, I don't know what that is. There's a number that you said before we started this interview, and I'd never heard of it. So what do you need to have when you download the app?
Well, you download the app. You look for Health and Social Care Northern Ireland, and that which is the organisation. Then you have to verify your identity using an NI Direct account.
That's it. What's that?
NI Direct accounts were set up originally for different government aspects. It could be requesting a copy of a birth certificate for, an application.
Have we all got one of those?
A lot. I don't know what proportion of the population have. A lot of us do, because they were also used then for vaccination certificates a few years ago, and that well-known thing that happened to us all.
The C word. Yeah. But it's not just a matter of your national insurance number. That doesn't suffice.
Yeah, you have to provide a couple of forms of photographic identity. So it might be a wee bit more difficult for those that are younger, maybe don't have a provisional driving licence, for instance.
Okay.
But the majority of people can, once they've put in a copy of that photographic ID and the details that are needed, get matched to their healthcare record, and they get immediate access.
Okay. Right, folks, there's a phone number, there's an email, and then Neil will see if there's anything else, because I don't know where the app is. I'm an idiot, right? But anyway, look, that's part of it. We've got to work these things out. The number is Northern Ireland landline number, so that's 028 for Northern Ireland, of course, 9536 8180. Or if you want to email the authorities, My Care Help Desk, all one word, My Care Help Desk at hscni.net. Or, Neil, just straight to the app on whatever carrier. Where would you go?
Yeah, if you have any problems with your NI Direct account, or you don't have one, you can find that quite easily by searching for it on the web. But there is a telephone number, 0300 200 7868, or the email nida@nidirect.gov.uk.
Repeat that phone number again. That's 0300?
0300 200 7868.
200 7868. Thank you for joining us. You're a busy person. Thank you for joining us. The lead in all of this, folks, and it's proving very popular. 38,000 of us in the Western Trust alone have already signed up to My Care, giving you all personal access to your own medical story. My thanks there to the Chief Clinical Information Officer with the Western Trust. That's the thoughts there of Dr. Neil Black. Folks, finally today, we bright